Welcome to today's episode of Workplace Bullying and the Effects on the Individual. Just a little background on the term bully. The term bullying has changed over the years, but in the 1500s, the term bullying was known as a sweetheart. It was also found that in the 17th century, that term changed from a sweetheart to a fine fellow to the harasser of the weak. But once again, in the 18th century, the term changed again. It went from the harasser of the weak to a pimp or a villain. However, in today's world, that term bully is deemed as feared. With the changing of the term bully, just remember that workplace bullying has a formula, and that formula is like making a cake. It requires the imbalance of power. You just add a little bit of control, mix it really well with repetitive actions, and constantly layering it with upward, lateral, or downward bullying. And while that is baking, while that is cooking, while that is rising, over a period of time, workspaces will have a plague of a stench of unwanted workplace bullying. According to the World Bullying Institute in 2021, they conducted a survey and they found that here in the United States of America, there were actually 352 million American workers in the workforce. What they also found was that 79.3 million American workers were affected by workplace bullying at some point, and that 48.6 million Americans were actually bullied in the workplace in 2021. But what was also alarming was that those that were targeted had a higher percentage in workplace bullying, and it included either being fired, either being transferred, either they quit, or they just were forced out. Whereas the targeted, whereas the perpetrators, or let's say the bully, had a lower percentage of either being terminated, they either quit, or they either were forced out as well. But are you surprised that the percentage levels between the victim and those who are bullies are actually higher and lower? Let's open that up. Employers have 5 reactions to workplace bullying. We'll slightly touch on that for right now, and we'll develop it a little bit more in another episode. But what employers found is that they claim that bullying is, when it happens in an organization, that is a competitive organization, and they'll tend to defend it, especially if it's a manager or an executive. They'll rationalize it. They also find that it's a way of just doing business. They're kind of like, oh, that doesn't happen. We don't have workplace bullying. As long as it doesn't impact the people in a harmful way, they'll deny it, claiming it doesn't happen here in our organizations. But like I said, we will expand on that a little bit more in a different episode. But I wanted you guys to know that NAMI and NAMI back in 2006, they did a survey. They did actually a research, not a survey, but they did research, and they found that in each workplace, when there's workplace bullying, there are 4 horsemen of workplace bullying. And what they found is that in each place, either men or women, because any one of those can be a bully, is that there's that screaming meanie who controls the workplace environment. You also have that constant critic who controls the person's confidence, that two-headed snake who attacks a person's reputation, and then there's that gatekeeper who controls and just create all kinds of stress and havoc in the workplace. So I ask you, are you a victim of workplace bullying, or are you the bully? And if you are the bully, ask yourself, what category do I fall under? Am I that screaming meanie, or am I that constant critic, or am I that two-headed snake, or am I that gatekeeper that's just like to cause stress? But until next time, let's practice oneness. I am Dr. Rosada Jones.